First of all, I need to give you some explanations about this skirt. I worked on a small sample of this skirt on the mannequin for you to see the appearance. As you can see, this skirt is made from a full circle base. We use the full circle skirt, but with the stitching we do on it, we turn it into a panel. It's like a full circle that has been turned into panels. Or we can say it is a gore that has widened so much that it has turned into a full circle. In any case, as you can see here, we have 8 gores on this skirt. And at the waist of this skirt, we close a series of darts while we are forming these panels. So be aware that the calculation numbers I am going to tell you partly relate to the darts that will be taken in this waist. Exactly like when we are going to sew a panel skirt. Okay, let's move on to the calculations. For this skirt, as I told you, we are going to use the full circle pattern. You need the full circle to match your waist measurement and the length of your skirt. We also need to add the space for the darts to our waist measurement so that the waist of our skirt doesn't become tight. Okay, pay attention here. I want to consider 8 gores for this full circle. So I have a number as the waist measurement, which I call number X. Now I consider how many darts I am going to have. I will have 8 gores. So each gore will also have a dart. Therefore, I will have a total of 8 darts. I need to multiply this 8 by the amount of the dart, that is, the number of darts multiplied by the amount of the dart or the width of the dart. You see, the amount is almost up to you, but you can consider between 4 to 6 centimeters. It's a good size to consider for your darts. I will consider the number 4. That means each of my darts will be 4 centimeters wide. 8 times 4, for example. Okay, here the answer comes out to 32. I add this 32, which is the total of my waist darts, to my entire waist, which is the number X. For example, if the waist is 70 with 32, how much does it become? Is it 102 centimeters? 102 centimeters. Now I have to put this number into the formula for my waist. What was the whole formula? Waist circumference divided by 6 gives us a result as Y. Well, we don't need to worry about it. It gives you another result. Now we have adjusted the darts and the waist of our skirt won't be tight. Our mind is completely at ease. Now we move on to drawing our skirt as usual. Working on the full skirt, we work directly on the fabric. Kids, see, imagine this is our fabric. You fold it in half and then in quarters. It's better to use wide fabrics with a width of 3 meters for this skirt. I apply the full formula. The waist measurement had given me an answer. Divided by 6, it gave me an answer. We come down by the same amount and draw the waist curve. Suppose this becomes my waist curve, and then we come down for the skirt length. Kids, see, this skirt looks nice short. It also looks completely nice long. However, if you want to make it longer, you should be aware that due to the heaviness of the fabric, you might not see the look you want. Overall, the fabric you plan to use for this skirt should be lightweight and at the same time stiff. For example, like taffetas, like satins, like jacquards, you can use these types of fabrics. Okay, now I'm cutting my skirts. This is fabric after all. Now let's assume we are cutting the fabric directly. Before cutting the waist, I fold the fabric one more time. Since my skirt was supposed to have 8 folds from this side so that the roundness is visible, the roundness of the waist was supposed to have 8 gores in my skirt. Now, I am cutting the waist curve. Let me tell you another point, kids. Right here, you can use the super clash skirt model for this skirt, which I have taught you before. Well, when I open my shoulder like this, it's a complete circle with a waist wider than currently normal. Now, since this was paper and I folded it, lines have appeared. But since fabric doesn't get lines, you need to mark all these points from top to bottom. This means you mark all 8 sections of your skirt at the waist. Now that you have marked these, you fold them from the back with an iron to create a crease. What does that mean? Suppose this is the back of my fabric. Well, from the back, I fold it with an iron to create a crease. I fold it to create a crease. I do all of it in this way. Guys, I'm teaching you this skirt without a lining, but now I'll tell you that if you want it to have a better structure and you added an underlayer, you can use interfacing for the understructure. It definitely needs to be lined. Now either the lining is attached to the hem of the skirt or the lining remains open. It depends on what method and tools you use. Okay, see, I have made all the creases from a back like this. Now I move to the waist. I need to create 8 dots on my waist. These 8 dots from the waist down, I took 50 to 4 centimeters. What does that mean? It means 2 centimeters from this side of the line I marked, 2 centimeters from this side, up to what length? Look, I recommend about 20 centimeters. That means approximately up to near the hip. The waist to the hips is approximately 20 centimeters, so you mark about 20 centimeters on these lines. On the same lines you drew, go down 20 centimeters and mark it. Then you start and taper your darts to this point. From both sides of each point, you have drawn half the amount of the dart on this side, half the amount of the dart on that side, and then bring it to 0 here. See, it's like you're drawing a sun. It becomes something similar to a sun. No, you don't need to empty this. Okay, your work is ready. You have marked this on your skirt with soap. It's completely visible on your skirt. Now what do? You take it to the sewing machine and fold it from here. This was the back where we folded, and the middle is also marked. The dart we drew is also clear. You start sewing this dart, and then without tapering it here. See, this is the end of the dart. Without tapering it here, with about 1 to 2 millimeters of space, sew this all the way down, like a dart stitch. It means you don't finish the end of your dart. Here, sew with a 1 millimeter gap from the fold you made and go down. Sew all these lines you marked with chalk in the same way. Let me show you here. You work in this manner. You see, it's a stitch like a dart. Stitch like a dart. This part, well, your work is ready this easily. You can also insert and sew a zipper in one of these darts. Then the hem of your work. But additional explanations. Guys, see if your skirt is short and your fabric is stiff and light, meaning it doesn't have much weight, it shouldn't be too warm. If you sew it just like this, it won't be uncomfortable to wear. It stands like this. Because of the darts you take here, you see some tubes. It gets a very prominent and defined shape. From the waist down, it is very well shaped. Right now, because its dimensions are small, it's not very noticeable. And this makes the puff at the bottom more pronounced. But maybe your fabric isn't the type that gives you that form and structure. In that case, you can use a length of Zoniks and sew both of these together at the same time. In that case, you should put a lining under your work, meaning your main skirt, tulle and lining. If you want to do something like this, meaning attach the tulle, it's better to attach it to the lining, so the tulle attaches to the lining. If you want to attach it, or if not, and it's supposed to be free. In any case, it doesn't matter, it will be placed between these two. So you can have a lot of flexibility with this skirt, you can change its structure. If you increase or decrease the width of the darts, the bulge and waist roll will increase a bit. Let me also tell you this, and if your skirt lengthens, you can, in addition to adding tulle, sew a bias tape to the hem of your crinoline to help with its structure, or not. If you don't want to use tulle at all, you can just add a bias tape to the bottom. First, you place the trim around and then sew it to hold that pinch and keep its shape as it is. I'm sure with your good taste, you know what other different things you can do with this skirt. It can even be short in the front and long in the back. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Thank you for liking and commenting. Thank you for giving me energy. Be sure to send it to your friends too.